Hello, I am Sadie Miller and I play Sarah Jane Smith for Big Finish. You're listening to the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast. Keep collecting.
Larry, it's Fraser. And you use, they all say, who is Doctor Who? Where is he from?
What does he do? They wonder who is Doctor Who? So I ask you, who's Doctor Who?
Welcome back to the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast. We took a little break, but we're back now. The podcast, of course, that explores that dressed-up world of Doctor Who collecting and all kinds of Doctor Who merchandise. Sometimes we just talk about Doctor Who. What a great place to do that. Brought to you in part by Bags Unlimited Incorporated. For all your collection protection needs, go to bagsunlimited.com. And by Forbidden Planet. Just visit our website at DoctorWhoCollectors.com, select the merchandise links, and peruse the Forbidden Planet catalog. We get a small commission on each purchase. Thank you so much. I am Larry Van Mersbergen, your host. I've been a collector for 43 years in the Doctor Who world, and my world is expanding every single day. It's kind of nice to have that happen. So welcome to our 79th episode, celebrating Doctor Who collecting and a wonderful television show. Just in case you're joining us for the first time, I did open one of the first Doctor Who stores in Chicago. It served the Doctor Who fans exclusively. Back in 1984 it was, and it was called Bundles from Britain. I actually stole that name from the magazine Fantasy Empire, which was a little column by John Peel, who's also been on my podcast. He's a good friend. Great guy. And we're mentioned in a great book. One day, that shop closed up in 1988 or 89. I can't remember exactly when, but I know it closed up. I sold it to my partner, and I never looked back. I went on with things, and then I got a hold of this book at Chicago TARDIS, had it signed by most of the authors. And I thought, well, what the heck? I'll look in the index. And, oh my gosh, I was blown away. Bundles from Britain is in the book. And I said, how did my little shop that I created at 15 get into Doctor Who history? I still don't know the answer, but it could have to do with the fact that when I sold it to my partner being Gene Smith, took Doctor Who selling to a great level, including Chicago TARDIS itself. So, wow. You can find a link to buy this book on the front page of our website. We do not earn a cent from it, and nor should we. The authors worked really hard, and you should have a copy on your shelf. Mine is within arm's reach of this microphone. So there you go. We are part of the Direction Point Doctor Who Podcast Network, the best Doctor Who network to be a part of. If you would like to expand your listenership, if you're a podcaster, or to find other great podcasts, just go to directionpoint.org and join the ranks of the great Doctor Who podcasts that we have. So that's directionpoint.org. And, of course, speaking of links, there are two links that I think every collector needs to have on their short list or their bookmarks bar or wherever you put your links. The first one is timelash.com. And once you get there, click on TARDIS Library. It is a very complete collection of Doctor Who in print, on video, on CD, on vinyl, from 1963 to the present day, including future releases. What a great site. You can also sign up for a free account and keep track of your collection and your want lists. And he has convenient links to Amazon sites throughout the world, including some helpful eBay searches built right into the site. That's a special thank you from Mr. Dan O'Malley, who keeps that up and running. If you're looking for more in-depth research on everything in the Doctor Who merchandising world, in the old days, you used to have to go get this telephone book type of thing called Howe's Transcendental Toy Box. Well, they reprinted that thing so many times that so many items became, it was hard to keep up. But anyway, there's a website. Howe's Transcendental Toy Box at doctorwhotoybox.co.uk, and you can go there. It's a great thing. David Howe, of course, is a good friend, and I'm recording this on his birthday, so we wished him a happy birthday this morning. So he's enjoying a nice rest from the world today. If you're looking for great Doctor Who items at really good prices, then you need to go to DoctorWhoStore.com. That's Alien Entertainment. My old partner, Gene Smith, runs that shop. And they have what you need. They're always running sales, always new stuff. And, of course, you have to visit the Lombard location on Main Street there. It's just wonderful. Double storefront, you can see, just everything there is with Doctor Who and with other things as well. Really great stuff. Just browse their items. They're open Wednesday through Saturday at the Lombard location, and they also have a location in Logan Square. So for more information and current hours, because it is convention season, and they might have extended closures while they're on the road, visit alienentertainment.com. There you go. You can also get some great Doctor Who items at my website, DoctorWhoCollectors.com. We have a partnership with Forbidden Planet, who sponsors our podcast, in the way that we have their merchandise on our site. And if you buy it through me, we get a small commission, and those commissions help keep the lights on here at the podcast. So, it's not for my own personal enrichment. It's so that my personal enrichment doesn't fund the show. So I hope that makes sense. And of course, don't forget our eBay store. We've got lots of Target books and hardcovers. We just sold like 4 hardcovers going to Australia. So that's going to keep the website fees paid for the next 3 months. So we thank you for that. Don't forget Who North America down in Canby, Indianapolis. What a wonderful store. Keith and Jenny own the shop, and you can actually see Keith's collection. He's got it in glass glass cases around the shop, the museum there, and he's got quite a bit. I mean, I've been there a few times. He's a good friend of mine. I've tried to help him complete some things. He's had some really good deals in the shop. And we're going to be there in October. I'll tell you more about that later. So definitely want to visit there. They opened quite a time back as well and have been in business for quite some time. You can find them online at whona.com. And lastly, we can't forget about our friends in London here. Alex, of course, in the Host Shop of London. They are listeners to the podcast, so and we really love having them over there. One day I will get to visit. I promise, guys, I will be there. TheWhoShop.com, all together there, TheWhoShop.com. Of course, on our website, in addition to all of the podcasts, many providers cap you at 10 or 15 episodes. But if you want all 79 episodes at your disposal, go to our website. They're all there. You can search by topic. You can search by, what you're looking for. Target books, Fisher toys, whatever you want to hear about, or missing episodes, or whatever you want to do. So there you go. We also have the complete guide to Doctor Who classic hardcover books. We list a lot of books that people didn't know were reprinted, on information about them and ISBN numbers and what the current value according to sold prices is going on, and that fluctuates depending on the market. So there you go. So what's going on? Okay, well, the next thing on my calendar, of course, is Doctoberfest Infiltrate. And that is coming up on Saturday, October 19th at the Who North America location. It will be an outdoor event. Hopefully, weather permitting, it will be good. There'll be tents set up. I think there'll be some food out there. So I'll be joined by some wonderful people, including the authors of Red, White, and Who. It's Stephen Warren Hill, and Nick Seidler and Robert Warnock. Great stuff. So there you go. And John Lavallee, I think, will be there as well. So that'll be wonderful. Of course, we'll also have, a lot of other great people there as well. And I'll get back that full list in the future. After that, of course, we've got the big one here, Chicago TARDIS 2024. That's a 3-day event, November 29 through December 1st, Thanksgiving weekend 2024. Our own celebration of Doctor Who here in the Midwest. Lots of guests have been announced, so here is the full guest list as of this recording. We have 3 doctors, count them 3, Paul McGann, Sylvester McCoy, and Jo Martin in her first Chicago appearance. So there you go. Also, coming in 3s, if you're a Blake Seven fan, you can't miss this one because we got 3 Blake Seven actors here from especially first season Jan Chappelle, Brian Croucher, and Sally Nivette. Great stuff. Also, you can't miss our returning guest, of course, our good friend Jason Haig-Ellery, the big cheese over at Big Finish. He's also bringing over Sadie Miller, who's been on the program and is a good friend of mine. Oh, we love her. She is the daughter of Elizabeth Sladen, so she plays Sarah Jane Smith on the Big Finish podcast, and she's also written a book called Moonblink on the Lethbridge Stewart series. So there we go. Also, we got Sonny McGann, who's Paul's son, so father and son. And of course, with your ticket to any Doctor Who convention, you get Fraser Hines. Will be at Chicago this year. We missed him last year. In fact, we told him so. It was just not the same without him, and I hope he'll make it. And of course, sometimes when you get Fraser Hines, you get the add-on package here, and we get, of course, lastly, Wendy Padbury, the wonderful Zoe Harriet from the Second Doctor run. And Fraser and Wendy are two wonderful people. I had a chance to have a long conversation with Wendy Padbury, not recorded, of course, but at Chicago TARDIS, and we talked quite a bit about why I named the network Direction Point from the Crotons, and she lit right up, and we started talking about the Crotons. We started talking about the stuff that was going on, and it was quite amazing, just a wonderful thing. So, of course, Next up, of course, is the Consinity 25, which is next April 2025 in Milwaukee. So we'll be there. And, just getting back to Doctoberfest for a minute, I'll be presenting my panel this year, which is a living history of classic Doctor Who books from 1964 to 1996. Some of these books you can only see live up close at this panel. Many of them were never released here in the United States, and it's taken me a long time to amass them. And I've only got 8 boxes of books to cover that time. I had to pick and choose. So it was really an amazing thing. So I will also have a dealer table at Doctoberfest, so come buy some Target books. I got some hardcovers, I've got some vinyl records, some toys, some magazines. So, come on over and help the podcast. That's where the money goes. All right, more to come there. And back, of course, to our website for a moment here. I get a lot of chatter on the internet about, hey, I saw a 4th printing of Planet of the Daleks. Well, probably not, because it never got a second printing. But hey, if such a book exists, and you can provide me concrete proof, i.e. photographic proof of the cover, the spine, and the title page, copyright page where it shows the printing, I will definitely listen, and I will add it to our guide. We don't have full information from the tandem publications of Wingate WHLN because the company no longer exists. Apparently, it's owned by the Carroll Publishing Group, but all that material is long gone. So we couldn't find out what those printings are. The Target book by David J. Howe is a great reference book, but it doesn't quite go into a lot of detail there. A lot of that stuff is lost. So if you have something like that, give me a call. Of course, if you find a missing episode, don't call me. Well, call me. I'd love to report on it, but you may to get that back to the BBC so we can all enjoy that. So I love talking with collectors. You can share your story here on my show. So if you were interested in coming on board and talking about what you do, I also talk to cosplayers, Doctor Who fans, Doctor Who enthusiasts, authors. I have Doctor Who celebrities on here sometimes. So that's, it's a great place to do that. So if you want to contact me, it's Doctor Who Collectors Podcast at gmail.com. Put that in the subject line so it doesn't get ignored. On today's show, I have a great conversation with a dear friend of mine, Miss Elisabeth Wade. She's a member of the Chicago Doctor Who meetup. She was a convention volunteer at Chicago TARDIS and a frequent cosplayer. So I really encourage you to stick around for that conversation. She's a great person to talk to. She has a TikTok channel and all that wonderful stuff. So, stay tuned for that. I want to thank our patrons as well. If you would like to see exclusive video content, and the most watched one we have, of course, is our interview with Peter Purvis, and you can hear the story about how he threw away one of the most valuable pieces of Doctor Who history to ever happen, especially in light of just recent episodes. You can go there to patreon.com/Doctor Who Collectors Podcast, subscribe at a $15 level, and I guarantee you will not be disappointed. You can also support us at our podcast provider, which is Podbean. We are a Podbean podcast. Go to drwhocollectors.podbean.com, and you can click the Become a Patron button and support us at any place you feel comfortable. Thank you so much. Our theme song is Who's Doctor Who, composed by the great Barry Mason and Les Reed, performed by Fraser Hines. I say the great Mason and Reed because they also wrote #1 hits for Tom Jones. And in addition to Fraser Hines' great vocals on there, you can listen to the amazing guitar work of Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin. Yeah. So you got Zeppelin and Fraser Hines on the same album. He loved talking about that with me. It was just a lot of fun. Of course, one of the songs that did not reach the charts. But in our hearts, it's our #1 song for this podcast. Please tell everybody about this podcast, and you can do this by telling them where you can get it. You can get it at Apple, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Podbean, and many, many other places. I get notices from all kinds of providers that have us on there. I love when I'm in my car and I select the iHeartRadio app and my podcast pops right up. That's a wonderful thing. I can listen to myself, which I sometimes do if I forget what I talked about. There we go. We're also a Direction Point Network podcast. You can find all of our podcasts, of course, at directionpoint.org as well. All right, after the break, we will have My Time, and then following that, we'll have our interview with Miss Elisabeth Wade, and we will finish up with the most outrageous offer. Stay tuned.
Traveling the Vortex.
Are you ready to embark on an epic journey through time and space? Join the thousands of Whovians around the world who've discovered Traveling the Vortex, the ultimate Doctor Who podcast for die-hard fans and curious newcomers alike.
Every week, we dive deep into the Whoniverse, discussing the episodes, theories, and hidden gems. We dissect the Doctor's adventures, share behind-the-scenes stories, and explore the legacy of this iconic show.
Traveling the Vortex brings fans together, fostering a global community of Whovians. Whether you're a fan of classic or new Who, there's something for everyone.
Join us on this incredible journey as we unravel the mysteries of time and space.
Don't miss out. Subscribe to Traveling the Vortex today on your favorite podcast platform.
Traveling the Vortex. Your ticket to adventure awaits.
Traveling the Vortex is a proud member of the Direction Point Podcast Network. You're listening to the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast. Keep collecting.
Hi, I'm Juliet.
And I'm Nathan.
Experience Doctor Who from the very beginning through a classic fan's eyes.
And through the eyes of a new Who fan.
Reminisce and relive those classic moments with Nathan as he offers fun insight.
Or experience them for the first time with Juliet as she dwells on social issues, history, fashion, and the size of a flashlight.
We're the Time Streams podcast.
Find us on Spotify, Stitcher, or Apple Podcasts. You're listening to the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast. Keep collecting.
It's my time.
And thank you for listening. I just want to spend a little time with you today and talk about a few things just off the top of my head. First, I want to say I just got back not long ago from EgoCon up in Plover, Wisconsin. I guess it has been going around for a while, so I was a little... I felt a little out of my depth, actually. So it was probably the most unusual Doctor Who event. Not bad by any stretch. It was a lot of fun, and just wasn't very much, didn't really produce a lot of fruit for me. So let me just explain, I guess it's at the Curling Center, which is not exactly easy to find. It's a kind of off the beaten path a little bit. I would recommend they go to a hotel meeting room. It might be a little bit easier, and then you could have breakout sessions. Instead, we're in the ice arena area of that in kind of a big circle, I would say. And I asked, where will I be doing my panel? And they said, oh, you can do it from your table. And I said, okay, typically it's in a breakout room because I have props. I tried to do my living history of Doctor Who books, and I said, I got a lot of stuff here. And he said, oh, we'll set up a table in front for you. Well, they set up the table in front with a podium and a microphone to a very small speaker, and then didn't set up any chairs in front of that, which was really a head scratcher. And then we got... well, I'm not going to talk about that because that's not the place for it. But it opened up with something, and then it was me, and there was nobody in the room except for vendors and people at tables. And I tried to go through my script. I said, okay, I'll just go do it. And I just couldn't do it. It got to a point where I started skipping things, and I started doing, you know what? No one can see the small items. I mean, this is not going to impress anybody. So I kind of wrapped it up, and I went back to my table, kind of bewildered by that experience. It was just not what I was expecting at all. My dealer table didn't make a lot of money either. There were not a lot of attendees. So but however, there was some, silver linings here. I got to spend a little time with Maggie Thompson. And if you know that name, she was the original editor and founder of Fantasy Empire magazine before New Media sold the magazine and John Peel took over. And I've spoken to John Peel, and I told her I would love to have her on the show, but I don't know if that's going to happen. But we just had a nice conversation about it, and it was really quite fun. But the hotel was mediocre that they had. It wasn't that expensive, but it was just mediocre. And I don't know. I'm gonna see if I can send my feedback to the folks there and see if we can maybe make this into a better middle Wisconsin gathering for Doctor Who, and that maybe more people can know about it ahead of time and be able to buy tickets ahead of time, and maybe even bring in a guest. Because they said one year Sylvester McCoy just showed up, and he wasn't really on the guest list, at least as far as I know. I'm feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I was talking to a lot of people there, and I wanted to get a feel for what was happening. I guess even Alien Entertainment used to go up there. So maybe at one time it was a bigger thing, and maybe this was just a fluke, but I'm hopeful to do it one more year just to kind of see if that was the case, but I'm also going to give my feedback. But I think you should go out there and check it out. I think it's definitely a lot of fun. You never know who you're going to run into at these things, so it was a lot of fun to do that. Next, I want to talk briefly, and I might do another episode on this just to help collectors out there, but you might, as a collector, especially someone like me, and I'm not tooting my own horn, but I've been told I have a pretty decent collection. It may or may not be the largest or one of the largest in the United States. I've been told that, but I don't know if that's true because I have some friends who have tried to go for the Guinness Book, and I'm not sure where that stands. But, of course, I don't know what they have and what's missing or whatnot. But anyway, someone saw a picture of my Dalek pencil heading card and that on the shelf and offered me a pretty lucrative trade. I thought, normally I would never entertain such a thing, but I was like, okay, well, let me think about that. And then the carrot was dangled in front of me. I'm not going to mention what it was because I don't want anybody to go, wow, whatever. It's not about that. It kind of go into a risky situation, and I did not go through with it, and it wasn't my doing. It turns out that it's possible that my Dalek header card was faked, and I'm trying to scratch my head on that because I got it in 1998. And this is well before digital printing and stuff. And it's on cardboard. It's the staples on it are actually rusted with the rust stains on the card that look pretty good. The Dalek Ray looks good, but somebody said that's a crease from an original. And I looked at several photos, and I can't make a decision on that. Maybe I have the original and the other one's a copy. I don't know. There's no way to know. And there's no absolute. Now, I showed it to other people in the field, and they all say, "Yeah, it looks real. Yeah, it seems real. It feels real. It looks real. It looks old." I know it's very difficult in the Doctor Who world because I talked to a dear friend, and he kind of kind of pulled me back from the hype on this because I got very upset about it. And I said, well, he told me about a 60s Dalek toy he got with a fake card. And I'm like, oh, the toy was genuine. Well, my pencil is definitely genuine. There's no doubt about that. And I was reassured that you don't see very often. So that might be a thing there too, but you can never be sure. I've also been told that my William Hartnell autograph is not genuine, even though I got it in 1986 from a British dealer who said he got it from William Russell. And it looks real to me. It looks real to the people I've showed it to. But the internet trolls out there want to say, well, it was copied from this card. I'm like, well, the card came out years later. So I'm going, okay, well, I try to, I'm an honest guy. I tried, I've been doing this for 43 years. So if I'm buying something from somebody and they tell me it's this and they've got a store behind them and they've got years of experience behind them, I have no reason to doubt them. But I'm not going to be taken advantage of. So I've made a policy now that I will not accept or offer any trades because at the same time, too, the person was in a different country. You send something out and you don't know if something's coming back. You mean maybe you get a tracking number and it never comes to fruition because you can create a label and never use it. And I don't know. Would I be, mailing off my Dalek pencil and header card to to somebody who goes, well, got that. I don't know. Maybe you've had some positive experiences out there. I would love to have a panel of folks who've had some successful trades and get them on a show and let's talk about it. I'm just saying I'm not doing it, but be careful. Be careful. And as far as, authenticity goes, it's another thing. It's a gray area. I have yet to find a professional person out there who can even authenticate my autograph from William Hartnell because he's gone. He's been gone for quite some time. And people who knew him are also starting to go. I mean, I thought about bringing it to Carol Ann Ford, but she might not know either. She left the show in 1965. So I don't know. And, Peter Purvis worked with him, but I don't know if you ever watched him sign anything. It was known, though, that somebody told me that he did sign a bunch of these annuals that they either gave away or gave to friends, and he did not personalize them. He just signed his name and put the date on them, and that's what I have. So I don't know. I mean, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Who knows? I can't find anybody to authenticate it. I did do a show recently on reproductions, and it seemed pretty clear. You can tell right away what a reproduction looks like versus, especially something created in the last couple of years. But a reproduction done in the 90s or even in the 80s, wow, how does that even happen without the technology and without the, so I'm also a little bit lost on that. But anyway, that's just another topic for another day, I guess, and figuring out what's up. But be careful, my friends. Don't enter into a blind trade, especially if it's something that's pretty dear to you. That Dalek pencil is one of the prizes of my collection. I mean, my Dalek cigarette box, my Dalek plate from Weatherby's. I mean, I've got stuff in the United States that's never got sold here. And it's pretty cool. I mean, it's what I do. It gives me joy. And so that Dalek pencil and header are staying in the collection for the time being until I decide to retire and put the whole thing up for sale. So, of course, I've got a lot of people out there telling me, when is that happening? I don't know. But that's all right. Have fun out there, guys. The hunt is what makes it fun. Unfortunately, though, sometimes you find what you really want and it's way too expensive. That's just the way it is. Unfortunately, until those prices come down, that's not going to be a thing I can solve. My most outrageous offer is a place for the people who are abusing it. But if it's a one-off item, yeah, that may be where it sells. Anyway, that's my time for now. So we're going to take another quick break and then come back with our main story today, our interview with Elisabeth Wade. Stay tuned.
The vervoids are probably the best dirty joke in Doctor Who.
They're hermaphroditic plants.
A lot of plants are.
So there you go. It's based on science.
No, they'll ship anything.
There are probably 11 and handle shippers out there. You just have to drill a hole where his mouth is, and you're all set.
He needs the room. I've seen it in pictures.
I'm not saying you're not a fan. I'm saying you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Doctor Who gives a
drunken Doctor Who podcast for the end times.
You are invited on an adventure across all of time and space, in a completely random order. It's the Police Box in the Junkyard podcast. Jump in the TARDIS with your hosts,
Eric Gulbranson,
Asad Kheshki,
and
Matthew Kressel.
Explore Doctor Who TV stories, audio adventures, and books, both novels and non-fiction. The Police Box in the Junkyard podcast. It's the entire Whoniverse on shuffle. The Police Box in the Junkyard podcast is a member of the Direction Point Network and is available about once a month wherever you find your podcasts. You are listening to the Doctor Who Collectors podcast. Keep collecting.
Up there is the scanner, those are the doors, that is the chair with the panda on it. Sheer poetry, dear boy.
And now it's time for the main story on the Doctor Who Collectors podcast. Joining me today is a friend of mine who is a volunteer at Chicago TARDIS, a frequent person at Chicago meetups, a cosplayer and collector, and we just love her. So welcome to the podcast, Elisabeth Wade. Welcome, my friend. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing all right.
Oh,
how about
good.
you?
Oh, it's great. It's always good to be talking about our favorite subject, right?
Yes.
Fantastic. So I'll start off with the easy question. So how long have you been a Doctor Who fan?
2015. I got out really late.
Oh, that's okay. Better late than never, right?
Says you.
So that makes your first Doctor.
My wall didn't say that. My first Doctor was actually Eccleston.
Christopher Eccleston. Okay.
Yeah. So what happened was, when it came onto Amazon Prime, I was told to start at the beginning with Eccleston. I didn't know then that there was anyone before Eccleston. I was just told to start with Eccleston, and I know you probably, maybe thought it was Capaldi, but I started at the beginning.
Oh no, that's fine. I asked this question of everyone just to see where they're at, and of course, you probably have gone backwards and watched pre Christopher Eccleston Doctor Who. I'm assuming.
Well, I went into the 10 feet and went 500 feet. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Because
that's what happened. Happened.
My listeners know I've been watching Doctor Who since 1975, so that makes
that's okay. That's okay.
My doctor was John Pertwee back in the day, but that's perfectly okay.
That's perfectly,
all right,
fine.
So let's see. First of all, 2015. So when did you start?
It was on the hiatus break. So they just finished his one season. They were going into his final season for Capaldi. So I used that summer to catch up. To start with Eccleston and work all the way up through Capaldi where I could get to.
Okay, all right. So tell me about how your development as a Doctor Who fan in 2015. Did you start with conventions, books? What expanded for you?
I actually ended up somehow going to Alien Entertainment. I'm trying to remember how I ended up with Gene, but we ended up in Gene's store, and it was the last year that Tom Baker came.
Okay.
And because he was putting aside K9 figurines for Tom the Sign. He told me about it. I wasn't deep enough in at that point to go, and I really regret it now because that was Tom Baker's final year in the United States. I still got his autograph, but it's not the same as meeting him. Like I have met Peter Davison, Colin Baker, Spencer McCoy, Paul McGann. So it's not the same. Oh, and David Tennant.
Oh, good. Yeah, David Tennant. Yeah, I know. I got lucky in 1984. I got to spend a lot of time with Tom Baker, so that was kind of nice. And of course, all my listeners know I go way back with Gene back to 1984. So that's great. No, Alien Entertainment, of course, one of the stores we talk about a lot on this program. So fantastic.
And I got one of his last 10th Doctor outfits and the last ties that he
Okay.
had in his store. So that's how late I was coming into this, because I have people coming in now. You can't, if you want that stuff, you can't find it. You're gonna pay
No.
$60 for that tie now.
Oh,
And
yeah. Yeah.
I'm wearing it right now. This is the BBC.
Uh-huh.
This is the BBC on it.
Okay.
So that's how now you won't get that label, and you're gonna pay $60 for that tie print.
Oh, I know. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
I know
it is.
I talk about that on every show. The way that collecting prices have doubled, tripled, quadrupled, quintupled in the last since 2005. Actually, it's been absolutely crazy. But I'm glad you got it when you did.
Me too. Very great. And one of the last sonic screwdrivers. I think he sold his last one this past November.
Yes. Yeah, he's currently going through his warehouses trying to clear out what's been there for the last 4 decades.
I got the coat from him twice. I got the last, because I actually I wore the first one so much it was getting moth holes at the bottom.
Oh dear.
So I got his very last one that he had in stock. I think 2018.
Okay. Yeah, great stuff. And I noticed
really good coats though.
Okay. I noticed you like to cosplay. So what are some of your favorite characters?
Well, I have other characters. I've had Seto Kaiba before, it's from Yu-Gi-Oh! I also have Crowley from Good Omens.
Okay.
I have a lot Maple Pines from Gravity Falls. I have a lot of Twilight Sparkle. So a lot of various reasons why I don't wear them is I have to invest some money into different parts of the aspects of them that I have outgrown since then.
Okay, of course. Yeah, that's a constant problem of the costume person is keeping up your costumes as you age. And I know that very well.
Yes.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, and so let's see, since you missed Tom Baker. So when was your first Chicago TARDIS?
My first one, I believe it was the first year I volunteered, which is in 2018.
Okay. So I think that's when
I volunteered. I volunteered my first year because I've hit the point with I've been going to convention since 2005.
Okay.
So I've been hitting in most of the anime conventions, Comic Cons. I was hitting the point where I wanted to be more involved with the convention. So that was the reason I did it.
Oh, and volunteering is a great way to get involved. And if you're listening out there, Chicago TARDIS just opened up its applications for volunteers. So, what a great way to do that. Of course, as a volunteer, you do get to meet all the guests and you do get an opportunity.
Yes. I liked it, and I also it was very hard. I'll let you know, volunteer. Expect an 8 to 4 shift. Just expect it.
Okay.
You can have fun at the convention after 4 o'clock.
Right. Because you got to help all the people while they're at the convention, and that's important too. I'm not a volunteer, but I spend a lot of my time helping people at that convention because I've been approached by so many. Hey, I know you. You've been around. I'm like, okay, yeah, the room's over here. This is when this is happening. This is what's, and it's great.
It's a wonderful convention. Everyone's very kind. Everyone's very friendly. I haven't really met anyone I don't like there.
True.
It is a smaller convention than an anime convention or comic convention because I see a lot of the same people multiple times, and that's fine on some level because some of my first conventions were small like that, and it's kind of nice. I kind of like you get to really know people instead of just being a sea of people.
That's great. Yeah, that's true. And the current format for Chicago TARDIS actually developed over the years, and it's very much based on the 1985 Spirit of Light Ultimate Celebration convention that happened in Chicago. Gene did not run that convention. He and I were dealers at that convention, and he took a lot of notes just saying this is how things should go. And that's kind of where it's based on. So it's a wonderful place to be, and I'm glad you emulate those feelings. So So let's say, okay, you also collect Doctor Who. Tell us about your collection.
I've been a collector since 2015. It started with the sonic screwdriver, 10,000 sonic screwdriver, and it just expanded. From there, I had Googled a lot of old stuff that between 2015 2016, like the 3D bus statues, which
Oh,
you
nice,
can't
yeah.
find. So I have Petrie, Tom, Davros, Smith, and David and Jack, and you can't really find those anymore.
No,
And you sign
no.
under $3 or $4 on the internet.
Yes, yes. Unfortunately, that's the thing. You get into. I'm glad you got into collecting. You can start at any time, and the items.
I got them for like $30-$50 at the time
okay.
still. So I still hit that sweet spot when they weren't completely gone.
Right, and that's a good time to grab those things. It's been absolutely just the collecting world is a large, murky world, and so it's very tough.
Well, even
to
more so
navigate.
because Big Chief went under after COVID.
Big Chief went out.
Big Chief didn't, because of COVID. They couldn't keep up their lines for the production. They said
right.
So they liquidated. They liquidated shortly after 2020, and that's a shame because they have some really beautiful dolls. I mean, even the dolls are like, I would say 12 foot tall, maybe a little bit more, but they're the faces and the hair, outside of Rose. I had the chance to get her, and I decided not to because her face was just, whoever crafted her, they gave her like these weird buck teeth look. I didn't like it. It was not becoming of her.
Okay. No, I know a lot of companies, including Warlord Games, also went out of business, and
also the
Eagle Moss too.
They also lost the Eagle Gloss.
Yeah, Eagle Moss. Yeah, that was a big one because I've got a few of their figurines and some of their collections, and I know Alien Entertainment has a big stock of those because he bought a fortune of those.
Yeah.
So you could still get those, but yeah, you can't get any new ones, and that's sad. Of course,
it is sad. I would have loved to see Neil Patrick Harris toy maker.
Yeah, that would have been nice. But other companies.
That's the sad point is that we're not getting any stuff from the 60th anniversary. As far as like, Hasbro, why are you not helping us? Please tell me.
Yeah. There's been very little. There's no shooty action figures yet.
There's no 15 Doctor Sonic Screwdriver.
No,
I'm just really disappointed about the lack of Neil Patrick Harris. I mean, he would make a great doll if we had Big Chief right now.
We don't know if Neil or his agent have signed a deal yet for that, so that's also a possibility. I know they tried to get Neil Patrick Harris for Chicago TARDIS, but the agent wanted a small gold mine, so it's not happening. But
because Gene's not going down that road again.
Oh no, he won't do it. And usually, and he and I talk about this all the time, but he'll say if I can get.
He told me a very interesting story about what happened with King's son, and
and
how he ended up having to work for her because all his employees got free autographs. So he's not going down that road again.
No, it was pretty bad, and I know Gene told me if he could get to Neil himself versus the agent, he could probably get him, because if he puts in the charity factor and all that, because Gene does a lot for charity, so he can usually get him, and sometimes he goes around the agent if he can get somebody to get a direct, but that's always that possibility. So what else do you have in your collection?
I have the only Barbie doll I will ever buy, the 13th Doctor Barbie doll.
Oh, nice, yeah.
Which they made early on for Jodie.
Yeah.
It is really nice too. And she even got her sonic screwdriver. It's very nicely made doll. I have the 50th anniversary figurine set that came in the TARDIS box.
Nice, yeah.
So, the tree topper for Last Christmas with Tom Baker and his catchphrases. I have a lot of books and some Big Finish.
Okay.
I'm a junkie. I have a lot of almost all the Time War hard copy, almost all of Kingston, and all of David Tennant.
Okay. Well, you talked about having some old books that you weren't sure about. So
Yeah, so they're Target. Most of them look like they came from Target or a big box store, and they were found in things from that were bought from the 1970s, 80s.
Okay.
And I couldn't for the life of me decipher. I went online to get the tips on how to tell if something's a first edition book, and unfortunately, it wasn't playing by those rules.
Okay. Well, I can tell you real fast. If it's a Target book, on the inside page, and I've got a Target book right here. So on the inside page after the title, there's a page here that has this information. In this case, it says reprinted 81, reprinted 82. So that would be 2-3. That would be the third printing of this book.
Gotcha. Okay, that's good to know.
It'll say at the top, a Target book published in 1979, reprinted here, reprinted there. If it's a first edition, it will not say reprinted. And I don't know if I have a first handy here.
There's some other ones that are like quiz books too from the era.
Sure.
So very interesting books to look at.
Yeah, so here's one. This book here, The Visitation, it just says first published in 82, and that means it's a first edition. So there were 2 or 3 printings of that book, and we still have collectors going through the possibility of how many reprints did a book get and how many copies were done, and that's really hard to tell. But unfortunately, there isn't really an online guide to Target books yet. I'm talking with myself basically about doing it on my own because there just isn't. I have one for hardcover books. I don't have one for Target books, but mostly the value of the book doesn't really hinge mostly on the printing. It's the condition. If the book is in good shape, it has no marks in it, has no stamps in it, has if the cover's in good shape, the book is still quite valuable because they're all out of print. So all the Target books are out of print, and so are the quiz books and the program. I have a program guide over here that came in the other day. So these things that I always thought these were interesting because they has a picture of Peter Davison on the cover, and there's nothing with Peter Davison inside the book. The program guide it goes to Logopolis, and that's it. So
it stops.
So that's until they reprint. They did do a reprint of this book or
I think I have that one.
A rebinding.
I think that was in the basket.
Okay, yeah, and they did several printings of this one. This one is it's the first edition, but they've done several, and it's nice if you want a classic guide to Doctor Who, but up to Tom Baker. That's all you get. But that's basically how that works. But go through the box and see what you got, and if you need more specific help, you can always contact me and I can help you out with that.
Okay, awesome, thank you. Yeah, and my books, I have this really awesome. You probably might want to. It's a pop-up book.
Oh sure, yeah.
From season 1 and season 2.
Okay, yeah, there were a few of those published. Yeah, sure, go ahead.
And it's called Time Travels. And
okay.
Show you things that. Oh yeah, let's see the typewriter types.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember that one. I do. Yeah. It still amazes me, but since 2005, more things have been made for Doctor Who since from 63 to 2004. So it's absolutely just mind blowing.
If anyone's confused about the typewriter types, it was a reference to the Doctor dances.
Right. Okay. Thank you for that.
Sorry if I just gave you nightmares. That is one of the top. Well, it's one of the top things my friends and I talk about when what scares us in Doctor Who, because sometimes we'll just pick like one episode that like haunt us. That is definitely up there.
Okay.
The child Doctor dances. I'm like, well, why? And we came you can get to the conclusion that it's a psychology of lost identity. And you add WWE2 to the mix.
Right. Do you have a favorite episode?
Oh man, that's hard. I have favorite seasons.
Okay, well,
I can't.
how about a couple favorite stories?
Oh, there's just so many. Like I love the whole Key to Time story.
Oh, sure, yes.
What's the entire season? But I love how Ramona and the Doctor play off each other. Like how she is a brain challenge for him, and there's respect in that too.
That was the 16th season, by the way.
Yeah.
That was a brilliant. That had, I don't know if you know this, but the script editor for that season was Douglas Adams, the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy author.
The Galaxy.
So he did the script editing for that series, including writing. He wrote The Pirate Planet, which is one of my favorites because it's one of the funniest stories.
I have finally, after 5 years, been through all Classic Who.
Good.
And it took having BritBox, but didn't materialize until 2017.
Okay, yeah, BritBox has all the episodes.
Almost all of them. The missing episode I had to Google.
Right. Yeah, the missing episodes they don't have, and some of them have been animated and have the rights for broadcast.
We still have a lot of animation to go.
Yes, we do. And hopefully we'll get some of that. Hopefully Disney will pony up and start doing some of these. That would be awesome.
I wonder what Disney. Well, it's a question of what is Disney doing. They're still not. They've been hinting that they're doing a spin-off that's with Unit, but they're still not saying officially that's what they're doing. It's kind of annoying. It's like someone.
Well,
not supposed to say that.
No, I've got some friends who are actors, and when I ask them what they're doing and they say, I'm not telling you, I said, well, you just told me what you're doing by saying I'm not telling you. So I know anything to do with Doctor Who, they clam up because they have an agreement. They can't discuss what they're doing. So I know certain actors are involved in that spin-off project. I don't know what's exactly happening with it, but we'll know more when they do the press releases. So what's next for you? Are you going to be at Chicago TARDIS this year?
I am planning on doing so. I have a room.
Okay.
But right now, it depends on what happens with my new job.
Gotcha. Of course. Yeah, and that's been a thing for everybody. But I certainly, hopefully we'll see you there. Do you okay? If you'd like, would you like to share your social presence here so your listeners can follow you?
Yes. So on Instagram, I am Blue Spiky. It's BLUESPIKEE.
And we'll have those links on the website, folks. Don't worry.
And TikTok. What is my TikTok? I don't even know what my TikTok is, but I have one, and I've been doing a lot of TikToking lately.
That's okay. You can always send it to me later, and I can post it on the website. But
I have it, and I also have a YouTube account too.
Okay, fantastic. So there we go.
I'll get those to you later.
My guest today was Elisabeth Wade, and you can follow her socials by clicking below on the link on the website at DoctorWhoCollectors.com. Elisabeth, thank you for being part of the program today.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And stay tuned for the most outrageous offer.
We are going on a journey, a very long journey, through the world of the Target novelizations and publication order. Every week, we are looking at a new book, talking about Terrence Dicks, Malcolm Hulke, and all our Doctor Who novelization friends. Whatever you do, keep turning the pages. This is Jason Miller of the Doctor Who Literature Podcast, a member of the Direction Point Podcast Network, and you are listening to the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast. Keep collecting.
Hello, fellow time travelers, and welcome to the Doctor Who Target Book Club podcast, the only podcast to discuss, in story order, all the Doctor Who novelizations. My name is Tony Whitt, and every 2 weeks or so, I'm joined by a 2 to 3 person discussion panel, including our so-called expert who's been a Who fan since 1979. That would be me. We also get the views of intermediate, casual, and novice fans who either have never seen the show or who have never read these books until these podcasts, including
Dalton Hughes
and
Allison Seyfried.
You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you find good podcasts, or even ones like ours. You're listening to the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast on the Direction Point Podcast Network. Keep collecting.
All my travellings throughout the universe, I have battled against evil, against power-mad conspirators. I should have stayed here. The oldest civilization. Decadent, degenerate, and rotten to the core. Power-mad conspirators, Daleks, Sontarans, Cybermen. They're still in the nursery compared to us. 10 million years of absolute power. That's what it takes to be really corrupt.
And now it's time for the most outrageous offer, the segment of our program that finds a Doctor Who item, Doctor Who related item, that is priced a little bit above where it should be. And calling out sellers who take advantage of us by doing these outrageous offers. Now, not every item qualifies for a outrageous offer. What the deal is here is that if you can get it for much, much less, and I mean like $1,000 less, and it's pretty easy to find or not too hard to find, that's an outrageous offer. If we're talking about something that no one's seen for 40 years or an item that's really difficult to find, then prices can get high, but not outrageous. So I just want to make sure that's clear. Anyway, today our outrageous item is a Big Finish release. I love these. It is called 1963 Fanfare for the Common Men, featuring Peter Davison as the Doctor. And it looks like we've got, it was released in 2013, so not that long ago. Anywho, we've got Big Bill's Books in Wimberley, Texas, who is offering a copy of this, and we don't know how, if it's used or it says new, so it must be still in the shrink wrap here. We get a very good shipping rate of $3, but if you want to buy it from Big Bill's Books, you're going to have to pay $2,666.68. Again, $2,666.68. Oh, that is crazy. That is pretty outrageous, but that's not the only one. Let's see. We've got another one here. That's published by Wizard Books in Long Beach, California for $2,666.27. We've got one from Gold Books in Denver, Colorado for $2,661.18. And Golden Dragon in Houston wants $2,221.45. Okay, everybody, deep breath. No. Absolutely not. Do not pay $2,000. In fact, while I was researching this, of course, I always check over on eBay and Amazon and all those other places where you can get this exact thing. And I just bought one for $25. I can't wait. I don't have one. So I thought, well, if I can get it, gosh, you can get it as low as $13. I think the average cost is somewhere around $20. So I'm not sure if you order it from Big Bills, you send them 2 large bills, and they go and buy it for $19.77 on eBay and then collect a whopping profit, just doing that quick, to $2,600 profit, then you're the one that's been had. That's definitely not the case. And unfortunately, I've brought this up. I've actually spoken to, I wrote to Nicholas Briggs at the Big Finish podcast, and he did answer a question on this practice of buying stuff and then really, marking it up. And it upsets them because they want people to have it. But I noticed that they're not doing any more of those special deals with Sainsbury's. But this is not a vinyl copy. This is not a copy that was exclusive to England. You could buy it here. Alien Entertainment had copies of this at the time. I do remember it. But this is crazy. I mean, I think you could still get the download from Big Finish. Don't pay $2,600 for this thing. Oh my gosh, this is nuts. I can't wait to share this with Jason Haig-Ellery. But, again, if you find it now, we found this one was sent to me. The link was sent to me to an Abe Books listing, and of course, when you select that, you get the other ones that they list here. So there's only 4 of them on there, and they're all in the 2000s. My guess is that nobody has it because it's the exact same stock image on all 4 of those, and I'm guessing that they're not real stores, possibly. I don't know, but who knows? I mean, I don't want to get called out for saying, no, it's a real place, but they're asking way too much. That is absolutely crazy. Please don't spend that kind of money. Gosh, $2,000. I can go to Galley One for that. But I digress. Anyway, that's our most outrageous offer. If you find an item that matches this criteria, send the link to me at DoctorWhoCollectorsPodcast@gmail.com and let me know whether or not you want your name shared. In this case, I was told not to mention who sent it to me, so that will remain between that person and me. That's how it is. We don't want to, if you don't want your name out there, I get it. But this is great information. So sometimes after I do this, of course, I put the links on the website so you can see it for yourself. I also take a screenshot because sometimes those links disappear. Amazing. They're not listening to me, but people are writing them and saying, hey, what the heck? And then the links disappear. And that has happened before. I think the $1 million calendar finally came off of eBay. I don't see it there anymore. I still see the $10,000 annual every once in a while, but yeah, crazy. Well, that wraps up the most outrageous offer, and that wraps up the Doctor Who Collectors podcast for this edition. Thank you for listening. I want to thank my guest today, Miss Elisabeth Wade. It was great to have that conversation with her. And stay tuned for our future episodes. We've got some tentative guests lined up here. We're hoping to catch up with Lauren Cornelius and Lisa Bowerman, as well as Tasha Kilios. We will also have our deep dive into the 1985 hardcover releases with our good friend Tony Witt coming up in the next few months. So until then, keep collecting.
A Doctor Who Podcast Network.